The Spanish-American War was an armed conflict between Spain and the United States in 1898. Hostilities began in the aftermath of the internal explosion of USS Maine in Havana Harbor in Cuba, leading to U.S. intervention in the Cuban War of Independence. The war led to the emergence of U.S. predominance in the Caribbean region and resulted in the U.S. acquisition of Spain's Pacific possessions. That led to U.S. involvement in the Philippine Revolution and ultimately in the Philippine-American War. The main issue was Cuban independence. Revolts had been occurring for some years in Cuba against Spanish rule. The U.S. later backed these revolts upon entering the Spanish-American War. There had been war scares before, as in the Virginius Affair in 1873. But in the late 1890s, American public opinion was agitated by reports of gruesome Spanish atrocities. The business community had just recovered from a deep depression and feared that a war would reverse the gains. It lobbied vigorously against going to war. President William McKinley ignored the exaggerated yellow press and sought a peaceful settlement. The United States Navy armored cruiser USS Maine mysteriously exploded and sank in Havana Harbor. Political pressures from the Democratic Party pushed McKinley into a war that he wished to avoid. McKinley signed a joint congressional resolution demanding Spanish withdrawal and authorizing the president to use military force to help Cuba gain independence on April 20, 1898. In response, Spain severed diplomatic relations with the United States on April 21st. On the same day, the U.S. Navy began a blockade of Cuba. Both sides declared war. Neither had allies. The 10-week war was fought in both the Caribbean and the Pacific. As U.S. agitators for war well knew, U.S. naval power would prove decisive, allowing expeditionary forces to disembark in Cuba against a Spanish garrison already facing nationwide Cuban insurgent attacks and further wasted by yellow fever. The invaders obtained Santiago de Cuba and Manila's surrender despite the good performance of some Spanish infantry units and fierce fighting for positions such as San Juan Hill. Madrid sued for peace after 2 Spanish squadrons were sunk in Santiago de Cuba and Manila Bay, and a third, more modern, the fleet was recalled home to protect the Spanish coasts. The result was the 1898 Treaty of Paris, negotiated on terms favorable to the U.S., which allowed it temporary control of Cuba and ceded ownership of Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippine Islands. The Philippines cession involved a payment of $20 million, $610 million today, to Spain by the U.S. to cover infrastructure owned by Spain. The defeat and loss of the Spanish Empire's last remnants was a profound shock to Spain's national psyche and provoked a thorough philosophical and artistic revaluation of Spanish society known as the Generation of '98. The United States gained several island possessions spanning the globe and a rancorous new debate over the wisdom of expansionism. Vidipedia.com is the video version of Wikipedia, dubbed the YouTube of Wikipedia. Every topic is simply explained in a short video. If you like our video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more videos like this, please also leave us a comment below and tell us what topics you want us to cover next.